Master Your Mindset Radio, episode 68.
Welcome to Master Your Mindset Radio, the show where we empower you to conquer limiting beliefs and transform your world with your gifting and purpose. Now for your host, Elizabeth Nader.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to talk about why life is like a slice of pizza. It's like eating a slice of pizza, to be specific. I'm sure that sounds very strange to you. You're probably thinking of Forrest Gump right now, that life is like a box of chocolates, but I'm going to give you a new metaphor today. I want to talk to you about goal setting, vision setting, all those things that happen the most around the New Year season. And we are in early December. 2020 is almost over, which I'm sure is a welcome thing to most people. It's been an interesting year for sure. But every time we come to the end of a year and the beginning of a new one, there are the traditional efforts of goal setting and vision casting and resolution making and all the things that go with that, which I think is all great stuff. I mean, as human beings, we're very driven to do that. And it gets exciting and it helps us to stay focused. But the reality is a lot of that work that we do and the thought process we go through and all of the dreams that we have around this time of the year tend to melt away a few months into the new year. They just don't stick like they should. And a lot of times it's because we don't come up with a specific practical way to meet our goals and objectives or to start to chase our visions. We tend to cast them. If we have a vision, we tend to cast it big, but we don't really understand how to get to it. And in some cases, we don't even have the idea to cast a vision for our life, so we feel stuck. So I just want to give you that metaphor today about eating a slice of pizza, and I want to break that down because I think it will help you feel unstuck when it comes to casting vision for your life, when it comes to setting goals, when it comes to really understanding how to get somewhere significant that you've been trying to do. So I want you to think about a pizza, and the idea is, do you eat that slice of pizza from the outside in, or do you eat it from the tip up to the crust? Well, I don't know anyone that eats a slice of pizza from the crust down to the tip. I don't even think that would be very doable. It'd be messy, that's for sure. But you don't look at a pizza and think, oh, I'm going to start eating it on the outside. You think about cutting it up into smaller pieces, and you think about starting to consume that piece of pizza from the smallest point and working your way up to the crust. And that's really the way that we need to think about meeting the goals we have, finding the ways to get to our vision, being able to move along towards the big ideas in our life, is to take the small things first. So if you think about the crust of the pizza, that's much like the big vision that you set for your life. That is what you lay down first. That's the first layer to say, what is the vision? What is the goal? And everyone should have a vision for your life. And that's a whole separate podcast, is how do we cast a vision for our life? But you can start this even if the vision is small, even if it's just a change you want to make in your life, maybe in your health habits or in your financial habits, or maybe it's a smaller vision on where you want to take your career in the next year, or how you want to see your business change. And there are different ways you can identify those goals, and I have different tools of doing that, and I've talked about those before, but I want you to think about whatever you're casting out there, whatever vision you're setting, I want you to think about it as the crust of the entire pizza. It's the foundation, because without vision, we have no path. Without a big goal or some kind of dream to look to, we get lost in our daily activities. We always have to keep our eye on the bigger picture. Without that, it's hard to know what we should be doing from moment to moment. So when you find yourself getting frustrated, when you find yourself feeling lost or sort of just going through the motions that feel repetitive, ask yourself, have I actually laid down a crust for this pizza? Have I actually created a bigger idea, a bigger vision? Do I have something that's inspiring me? And a lot of people will do that with vision boards, and I think that's great. And I think there's something amazing about putting a visual representation of your vision in front of you, of your dream. I love that idea, but the problem is a lot of times people do that. They stick it on their wall or put it somewhere where they see it every day. And they think it's just going to happen because they put it together. But it's just the crust, right? It's just the foundation. It's the dream. Now you have to start to do the small things to get there. You have to start to eat that pizza from the inside, from the smallest part, all the way up to the crust, to the vision, to the big dream. So first, we need to make the foundation. And I think that what's exciting about a vision is that there are no rules for it. Really, there is no rule to tell you, well, that dream is too big or that vision is too big. If it's something that's in your heart, if it's right for you, if it's something that you're inspired by, there's no rule. There's no saying, well, you can't have that because you'll never get there. In fact, the bigger you want to make the vision, make it. That's about you. That's your decision. Sometimes I think in some years I've cast out smaller visions for something I want to accomplish in a shorter amount of time, all the while having my eye on something larger. I've known for more than 20 years that I wanted to write a book. And in that 20-year time frame, I cast a lot of smaller visions and accomplished a lot of other things, but that big vision of publishing my first book was always out there, and I was always somehow pushing towards that goal. So you can have the bigger visions. There's no right or wrong about that. You can have more than one, and you can certainly have the shorter term ones that you can achieve in a shorter amount of time. But when you cast something large like that, it will eventually come to pass if you continue to move towards it. So no matter how big the vision, if you are committed to moving towards it, to moving, like think about that slice of pizza, taking that first bite and the smallest end of that pizza, and then a bigger bite and a bigger bite until you're moving towards the crust. You're moving towards that big vision. So, when we think about it in terms of even building that pizza, we have to build the vision and the crust first. We have to put down that foundation. You need the big idea. You need the goal. You need the dream. You need to think about where you want to be in 10 years. What do you want to be doing? What do you want to be adding to your world around you? Who do you want to be influencing? What are your gifts and talents that you can bring to bear to change people's lives who interact with you? What is the bigger vision? And that is that foundation. And then, as it is when you build a pizza, you start to layer on then the ingredients that can make that happen. The ingredients that will then turn that into something that's beautiful and something that's appealing and something that, people react to positively, something where you make a mark. So you start to then add the ingredients on top of that. So I want you to think about starting with the vision in terms of the actual goal, the big idea, the crust of the pizza, and then working your way back to where do I start today? What's a small bite I take today? Because people who get stuck are the people that try to eat the pizza from the outside in. They try to get to that goal, get to that vision right away. They try to force it to happen, and they don't recognize the value of the small things that you do along the way. So if I think about my goal that I had for 20 years to publish my first book, and I'm now moving on to my second one, by the way, but when I think about that goal as an example, that is a foundation. It's something big that I put out there. And I didn't know when, and I wasn't sure how, but I started to back off of that and ask myself some questions. What would that look like? What would that book look like? What might it be about? What is it coming out of in terms of my experience, my talent, my expertise? How might I begin to develop that content? Who are the people that would benefit from that book? What kind of impact would that book make on the world around me? And in order to write that book, what kind of behaviors and commitments do I have to make, behaviors I have to take daily? What kind of habits do I have to form to begin to create that book? And you start to back into it, and I started to see that if I committed to teaching this material, if I committed to working one-on-one with people with this material, I would start to see a book come out of all of those things that I did. And that's in fact what happened. I took my unique gifting and my unique view on a subject, which is master your mindset. I began to teach on it. I began to have clients that I helped with it. And from that, this message began to bubble to the top. And it became clear to me at that point, at one point actually, this is a book. But to get to that, I had to commit to smaller things along the way. So I took the big idea and then started to back off of it and say, what do I need to do to get there? What are the moving parts? And really all the way down to the small things like reading books every week. I think if you're going to write a book, you need to read a ton of books. I really believe in that. I believe writers are readers. So I would commit myself to that practice. I still do, of reading a lot. Because my book is based in theology, I committed myself to working towards my doctorate in theology, which I should be completing in the next, I think, 18 months. But I kept working towards that. I committed myself to working on the material, to using that material in any teaching setting I could. So doing small things and then bigger things, and little by little taking a bite at that slice of pizza until I found myself very, very close to the crust, to the goal, to the actual day that I hit submit, sent that entire manuscript in, and then of course the amazing day when those books came finished and published and complete in the mail to me, which is, the fulfillment of a more than 20-year dream, and maybe even longer than that. I think that I knew I had a book inside me ever since I was a young girl, and there are more coming. But you don't just get there by wishing it so. You don't just get there by focusing only on the big idea, nor do you get there by just being lost in the circumstances of everyday life. It is that balance of the foundational crust of the pizza, if you will, the big idea, the goal, the vision, and the actual practical steps and the habits and the commitment daily to looking for opportunities to move towards that goal. Now, you may have a big goal that months may pass and not much happens, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of movement towards it. That happens as well. That's normal depending on the size of the goal. It may seem stagnant. It may be sitting there for a while, but you think about it. You should always be contemplating it. What can I do to move towards it? Is this still the big vision I have for my life? How can I begin to maybe change it a little bit so that I can continue to take steps towards that every single day? But don't make the mistake of trying to eat the pizza from the outside in. You will get so frustrated. It is so messy, right? It's not the way you want to do it. It's the small things done repeatedly over time that suddenly, it seems, bring you to the achievement of a goal and a vision. And it is sort of like a suddenly, but the truth is it's not. You never get there overnight. It's just rarely does that happen. Even if you look at success that the world promotes, and it seems like somebody is suddenly successful with something in business or in the entertainment field, the truth is if you look behind the curtains, it was a series of small and not so small things done repeatedly, habitually over time with a commitment to pushing through failure and pushing through discouragement. And again, repeatedly doing these things over time that achieved a suddenly, at least that's what the world thinks, but that person knows it's not a suddenly. It's not overnight. It is a series of small commitments. So that's another thing that's really encouraging about visions and about goal setting is that you don't have to feel like it's too big for you. You don't have to achieve that. You need to do those small things that you have to do today. And there's comfort in that, especially with the topsy-turvy world that we're in right now, especially with those of you who question what you're going to do tomorrow or wonder what the right approach is for your life or the right goal you should have for next year. What direction should you take? There's a lot of confusion about that. The nice thing is that you can come to a point of casting a vision, and then you can focus on just doing small things daily to move yourself towards it. And all of a sudden one day you wake up and realize that you've crossed over that finish line, that you've arrived. And it's not a suddenly, it's a commitment. It's a commitment, but you can handle the small things. That's what's exciting about it. You don't have to go make that huge goal happen. Make it happen right now. I think when we try to make things happen, that's when we fall on our face. But what you can do is you can do your best today, and you can make that phone call. You can write that chapter of that book. You can update your resume. You can reach out to that person. You can inquire about that program. You can do the small things that you need to do to move towards your goal. They're not overwhelming, but when you add all of those up, it's one incredible experience when that goal actually and that vision actually materializes. So again, I want you to think about a pizza. I want you to think about eating a slice of pizza as it relates to achieving your vision and achieving your goals. Yes, you have to create that foundation and that crust. You have to have that vision. You have to have the ability to see it. But it's not that where you start. You start with the everyday, with the small bites, with the small things that you do. And you might make some mistakes along the way. And you might need to reorder your steps. But the only way you fail and the only way you don't move forward is by standing still. Every step forward is a step forward towards something. You learn, you adjust, and you continue to move towards that goal. So even in this world of current frustration, right, and restrictions and all the things that can make you feel stuck and make you feel standing still, there's always something you can do. It doesn't have to blur your vision. It doesn't have to change what you see for your life. You just need to focus on the small bites. You just need to start taking those small bites towards your goal. But don't ever exist in a world with no vision. Don't ever exist in a world where you haven't cast a vision or a goal, set a goal for yourself. Because that's when we truly do feel lost. That's when we truly don't know where to spend our time and we don't see the value that we have. You must always have a vision. It is one of the most important things towards living a fulfilling life and reaching your destiny and understanding purpose. Without vision, it seems as though everything is meaningless. So I encourage you to think about that as you head towards the New Year's, as you head towards all the things that we do as we start a new year and all the resolutions and all of that stuff. This year, let's do it differently. This year, let's cast a vision that's big. Yes, let's cast several goals and visions for ourselves, but let's begin to look at the small things we do every day to get there. Let's begin to understand that we're going to eat that slice of pizza one small bite at a time, and we're not going to do it from the outside in. We're going to do it from the inside out. So now that I've talked about that enough, I'm going to go get a slice of pizza and I will see you guys online next week. I'm going to have a great interview with Bert Oliva to share with you. And if he doesn't inspire you to cast a vision and to take small steps every day towards that, I don't know who will. He's an amazing guy. So don't miss next week's podcast. Have a great week, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Master Your Mindset Radio. Before you go, if you want to be part of a free online community of like-minded individuals for support, resources, and inspiration as you conquer your limiting beliefs and pursue your purpose, go to elizabethnader.com/community. That's elizabethnader.com/community, or search for Master Your Mindset Academy private group on Facebook. Looking forward to seeing you online.